and this is Uncut News. This morning, the coalition proved their ineptitude as a political opposition once more. No, Sherrod didn't throw himself on the ground like a ninny again. This time, Parliament was suspended for a second day in a row after coalition MPs continued their protest calling for Kwame to be removed as an MP. Why? Well, because yesterday they claimed, without evidence, that Kwame hit opposition MP Tabitha Sarabo Haley in the face with his cell phone. Kwame denied the charge, and supposedly the camera was working this time, and the Prime Minister says he didn't say anything. But Apnew protested anyway. Then this morning, Chris Barbershop Jones stood up and demanded they kick Kwame to the curb immediately. The Speaker of the House didn't tell them no, but rather to do it properly and pass a motion seeing as this is the National Assembly and not a rum shop argument. Immediately after, coalition MPs stood up and began hitting their desk until Nadir got fed up and suspended Jones for leading the ruckus. While he and 5 other MPs were the only ones officially suspended, the whole coalition did not return to Parliament for the afternoon session. So you know what that means. The PPP passed their budget without proper scrutiny or debate from the opposition on the matter. Nevertheless, I would not be surprised in the least bit if Apnew comes back later in the year and complain about how corrupt the budget is, instead of, actually doing something about it before it was actually passed, which is what you would call ineptitude to the max. So, in the span of 4 weeks, we've seen a vibrator, a spliff, a man passed out with his fly open, an auntie man lashing a woman in the face, a set of computer thieves, and a buse-up over a preposition and a pronoun. I think I will start calling Parliament the National Rum Shop. The government says that Venezuela is illegally crossing the border, while Venezuela says they're just cruising on their territory. Yesterday, the government sent an official protest note to Venezuela for the military flyover in Bang. In response, Venezuela said, "We're lying." They said those were just regular patrols in Venezuelan territory, and Guyana is just trying to make them look bad. Then, as if to add insult to injury, they basically said, well, even if we did cross the border, you can't do anything because the land is still disputed. So talk if you see fighter jets over Parika, but till then, rest yourself. 3 senior police will be facing charges as the investigation into the missing 100 guns from the police armory continues. Though the ranks may not have been directly involved in the disappearance, they are supposedly the only ones who had direct access to the guns, and as such, they are the ones getting thrown under the bus. A doctor and 2 nurses at the New Amsterdam hospital have been suspended after the ministry found that their negligence led to the tragic deaths of 31-year-old Vanessa Lewis Sahadio and her newborn baby girl. The ministry stated that there will be several follow-ups to the investigation and further actions will be announced at a later date. Last month, Lewis Sahadio and her baby died from complications in surgery, one she received immediately after giving birth. Now it's time to tell you about Best Buy's car of the day. Currently on sale is this 2018 Suzuki Swift RS Sports Edition. It comes with Bluetooth, CD, stereo, steering controls, crystal lights, mag rims, fog lamps, and much, much more. Pay cash for $3.6 million, or pay down as low as $720,000 with around $70,000 monthly, and it's yours. Call or WhatsApp 662-0844 for more info, or visit their showrooms at 171 Peter Rose Street, Queenstown, or Lot 2 Lamar Street, and tell them Noriko sent you for this sweet deal. This morning, 65-year-old Les Charles Critchlow was sentenced to 60 years in prison for murdering his brother-in-law, Terrence Adams, in 2016. Yes, you heard right, 65-year-old man getting 60 years. According to the prosecution, Critchlow had stabbed Adams during an argument on May 12, 2016, at his home in Haslington. Critchlow apologized for his actions, but maintained that he is innocent. I don't know how that's possible, but anyway, Critchlow is getting a few years of that sentence knocked off due to time served. But seeing as he couldn't have a cool head in his sunset years, it really looks like Grandpa over here is still likely to die in prison. Pity. This morning, 31-year-old taxi driver Raoul Melville was found dead in his home in Bagotstown. His body was discovered by his son when he came to check on him this morning. He was last seen alive last night. According to the police, the door was left open and the bathroom was ransacked. Even though the door was left open, there was no sign of forced entry into the home. If you own one of the best diesel engines in the world, then the name Cummins is very familiar to you. But even the best engines need spare parts, am I right? Powered Automotive, truck spares, and engine parts at 1161 E.E. Eccles stocks Cummins engines parts for 6BT and 6CT engines and much more. Call or WhatsApp 697-0171 or follow Powered Automotive Truck Spares and Engine Parts on Facebook. Weeks after pleading guilty, 19-year-old fitness model Princess Williams today changed her plea to not guilty. Williams was charged with attempting to extort 10 million Guyana dollars from her ex-boyfriend by threatening to accuse him of rape. She was released on $100,000 bail and is expected back in court April 1st. It's now time for today's Runa Report. Today, the nation recorded 51 new cases. There are now 199 persons dead and 7 persons in the ICU. There are 383 persons in home isolation and 8,699 total confirmed cases throughout the nation. So please, people, wash your hands frequently. Avoid touching your nose and mouth and mask up before you leave the house. When you do leave home, try to avoid enclosed spaces and large crowds. And remember to give 6 feet of space between you and others. Now, let's take a look at news in the region. A former U.S. Marine was found guilty of conspiracy to illegally export and smuggle firearms and controlled equipment from the U.S. to Haiti, and he has been sentenced to more than 5 years in prison. Prosecutors allege that 34-year-old Jacques-Yves Sebastien Durousseau smuggled the weapons to train Haiti's army in foreign armed conflict. They also said Durousseau and a co-conspirator impersonated high-ranking military officers pretending to be on military business so they could illegally move 8 firearms by commercial aircraft to Haiti. You can multiply your cash by selling digital top-up. This is a legit way you can earn some extra money at your business or to supplement your existing side hustle. Become a top-up vendor quick and easy through Cellular Plus. Call them on telephone number 685-3109 for more info. On Tuesday, 21-year-old Navagia Gray was killed and 2 persons injured during a dispute over garbage with a male neighbor in St. Anne, Jamaica. That morning, a dog which frequents both yards brought garbage from Gray's home into the neighbor's home. The neighbor was absolutely peeved by this, so he went over to her and started rowing. He then went back inside, got his gun, and started shooting, hitting Gray and 2 others before fleeing the scene. All 3 victims were taken to the hospital where Gray later died, while the man is still on the run. And now for our weird news story of the day. A village street has been stripped of dozens of paving slabs after they were allegedly stolen in the dead of night. Brazen thieves are believed to be responsible for the disappearance of about 50 expensive Yorkstone slabs from a library car park in Storrington, West Sussex, on Monday night. The police are currently looking at CCTV footage of the area for clues. But weirder still is the fact that this form of theft is actually more common than you would think. Yorkstone paving can cost around £100 a square meter as new, but on eBay there are thousands of reclaimed slabs being sold for around £50 per square meter. So the next time someone says Guyanese is thief, tell them we learned it from the British. Robbery season might be over, but these streets are still mean. If I were you, I would consider getting security for the home or business. I personally recommend Sheriff Security Service. I find that they are the most professional, with well-trained armed or unarmed guards. Get some security, people. Moving on to our Uncut News Viewers Poll question of the day. Every day we pose a question about current events in Guyana, the region, the diaspora, and how you feel it relates to us. So, you give your responses in the comments, and we'll read the best ones in the following episode. Yesterday's question was, how do you feel the government should respond to the fighter jet over Ettering Bang? Zidane Wolford said, how can we respond to that? We don't even have a jet to bust a fly past to level up. Abraham Clark said, sure thing, I think we should call the USA for help and tell them Venezuela's spying on us. I wouldn't be glad for the fighter jet to come back tomorrow and drop bombs on us. Marlo J said, invest in a modern military. This, depending on international pressures to solve our issues, is going to get a lot of people killed. Until then, I guess they have to ask for help and hope for the best. And finally, Lennox Frederick says, a fighter jet has also been spotted here in Baltica sometime this afternoon and tonight. This is really scary. I think the government should seek help from other countries to help us defend our land. Venezuela's military is huge. Guyana needs help. All good answers, people. So for tonight's question, the government is blocking the sale of Scotiabank's Guyana operations to First Citizens Bank. Do you support this move to block the purchase, or should they be able to do business as they please? Think about the question and tell us in the comments below. If your response is good enough, we just might feature it in Friday's episode. Anyway, that's all the time we have for tonight. Check us out tomorrow for another. Until then, I'm Enrico Bulford saying good night, folks. Hey Uncut News viewers, thanks for watching. You can subscribe by clicking on this button over here, or click over there for more news. You can also drop a comment to let me know if you've made it to the end of the video. Goodbye for now.